Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a short little knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Miguron Takog or Takog. I'm not really sure exactly how to pronounce it. It is a very inexpensive knife at about $39.99, $40 knife. 14C28N, G10, and very good execution. I don't normally talk about price right at the beginning of the video, but I think it's important to talk about that because for some people, that's really all they want to know, right? So I'm going to make sure this is linked right down below if you guys want to check it out. It does help my channel when you use my links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks so much to Miguron / AM8 for supplying this knife for review. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. There are a few things. It's not a perfect design, right? I don't want to be too critical of it because at $40, it's, you know, it's honestly pretty good. But there's a couple of weird things. So if you want to find out, stick around. Let's go ahead and get a measurement. Overall length of the Takog coming in at actually sub 7 inches, 6.85 inches overall. Blade length is under 3 inches, which is going to be helpful for some people who live in areas where laws are stupid. Your cutting edge is coming in at about 2.75 inches. Let's go ahead and do just a few size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. This guy is a little shorter than the Rat 2, but has quite a bit more presence in another dimension. We'll talk about that. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3 and the Benchmade Bug Outs? And should we do, yeah, let's do the Demco 80 20.5, and I think that'll be pretty much it. Okay, how's the action on this guy? It's very good. If you've never handled a Miguron knife, they have some of the very best quality in the budget knife world. They do good premium knives too, but I've been massively impressed with what they bring to the budget knife world, not just in terms of materials, right? But the actual execution of those materials. It's just really, really good. This is a liner lock, not in set. It should have been because, wow, it's really thick. Not so thick that it's unusable, but this, like, geez, right? Access to that lock is great. There's no sharp edges or anything in there. You can front flip it, or you can use this single thumb stud, another kind of a weird thing, but you can use the single thumb stud to deploy it. If you're right-handed, this is very easy to manipulate. If you are left-handed, the thumb stud is useless, because even if you pull the screw out of this side, which, if you're going to do that, then cut this area lower so you can actually flip the thing over to the other side, right? If you're left-handed, the thumb stud's not useless. You just have to reverse flick it, right? And then you can still front flip it. Is it top flippable? Yes, it is. You can top flip it as well. So that's nice, right? The action's good, runs on bearings, good detent, good access to the stud and the liner and everything like that. It's just kind of awkward because it's thick. How thick? Let's put it up against the Spyderco Para 3 and see, wow, why? It's so weird that it's so thick. The liner should have been nested, right? It would have been much thinner. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. It's not really, I mean, really, this way it's not going to bother people. It's just this way. But truthfully, with all that considered, it's really not, you're not carrying around much knife, right? G10 steel and 14C28N. The blade, honestly, is a little bit thick. Sorry, still getting used to the new camera mount here and wanting to put it on the other side. The blade stock is coming in at, not crazy, 130, it says 136, probably 135 thousandths. Thicker than you might expect, right? But Miguron does tend to be on the thicker side for knives of this size. For the entirety of the knife world, in my experience, 135 thousandths is the exact middle of the road, but this is a knife on the smaller side. I expect it to be like 120 or less, but okay, not really that big of a deal. Did we do weight? No, let's do weight. Take a look at the inside here real quick. We have milling for the steel liners, which is good. I'm glad they went in and did that. Weight on the Takog. Such a weird, I have no idea what that means. You can Google it and tell me and pretend that you knew all along. 4.06 ounces. I wonder where that weight's coming from. Probably the aggressively thick scales and non-inset liners and the not super thick, but slightly thick blade. Okay, not the best ratios. Where's it balanced? Understandably, it's a tad butt heavy. A tad. Not really that big of a deal. You're still only carrying around a 4-ounce object, right? I know your phone does a lot more stuff, but I guarantee your phone weighs more and is substantially more cumbersome in your pocket, and you have adapted to it, right? I don't know that there's a whole lot. Oh yeah, hardware check. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot is a T8. The body screws are T8 on both sides, and then we have T6 pocket clip screws that are not recessed, but okay, no big deal. Minimal hardware, liner lock construction, pretty simple, nothing too crazy. This whole knife is pretty simple, right? There's not really a lot to talk about. We have peel ply textured G10. The overall fit and finish of this knife is very good. It's very typical Miguron. I like the tumbled finish on the blade mixed with a satin finish on the flat. We have kind of, do I want to call this a Scandi grind? Kind of, right? This blade is actually, I don't know if I really want to call it. I think it is slightly, yeah, it is. It's hollow ground, which is, that's cool. It will absolutely slice and cut, and I think it'll just do a pretty darn good regular job, right? But it's not really aggressively sharp, right? The factory edge is weird. See what it's doing here? I don't know. It's like they didn't finish sharpening it, which is weird because the other Miguron knives, you can see here, once I get the bite, it'll slice. It does okay. I think maybe it's just the grains of the paper. It doesn't like it this way, right? But it doesn't have the bitiest factory edge. It's very possible that I got a goofy one because truthfully, Miguron's factory edge on the other like 20 knives that they've sent has been really, really good. But it's just like, it's hollow ground, and I just compared with the other knives I've had, I just expected it to be a little bit slicer. But I just want to report exactly what's going on here. There's also a little bit of ugliness back here, right? Grind kind of went neat, but okay. And they kind of, it looks like they kind of hit this area right there. Is it the same on the other side? It's not quite as bad on the other side. It's just a little bit odd. Not really that big of a deal though. This can be corrected. Honestly, I could probably drag it across the strop a little bit and it would be just fine. It was just kind of odd. 14C28N, is that a good steel? Yes, it is. It's arguably the best steel. Alongside, there's a couple of options, but it's one of the most balanced and accepted steels in budget territory. On this channel, budget territory is anything under 75 bucks. Honestly, I'm happy to get 14C28N on knives that cost under 100 in some cases, right? I don't want to see it over 100 bucks, but like the $70, $80 territory even, I'm like, oh yeah, 14C28N, that's great. So to get it on a $40 knife is fantastic. Obviously, it'd be nice if the factory edge was super sharp, but again, you know, this might be kind of a goofer and a little bit of stropping. I mean, these are knives in a territory that are usually not collected and safe queened, right? Most people are going to use them, and if you're going to use them, you're going to resharpen them. So, you know, I'm thinking 50 passes per side on the strop with some compound would probably be just fine. But I don't want to get on that too much, right? I just want to make sure that I'm making myself clear. Ergonomics, a little bit blocky, as you could imagine. You can choke up, but it is like holding on to a blocky knife, right? That's exactly what it feels like. I mean, there's no real other comparison there. The peel ply texturing is fine, offers a little bit of grip. I think the blade, generally speaking, will do most general EDC tasks just fine. We have a pretty prominent flat, pretty robust blade stock that carries quite a bit of thickness out to the tip, so the tip's going to be fairly strong. 14C28N has decent edge retention, very easy to touch up and sharpen, which is why I emphasize that so much. Good toughness and good corrosion resistance. It's extremely balanced, one of the most balanced compositions out there, and has a fine grain structure, which is why so many people prefer it. It is excellent. I think that the blade steel alone is just fine. Thumb stud, I think, is slightly in the cutting path. Not much, though. Not really that big of a deal. Let's see here. I like the Miguron logo, which always makes me think of the Majin logo from Dragon Ball Z. We have a lanyard hole for lanyard people. Great. We have a little backspacer back here, which is fine. We have a pocket clip that, for whatever reason, does not have the holes to be mounted for left-handed carry. I don't know why they didn't screw them, but okay, or drill them. The screws probably should have been recessed. Not really that big of a deal. Pretty generic clip. It's honestly a little bit too long for this knife. It probably should be a little bit shorter. They could have mounted it higher, but they didn't need to because the carry depth is just fine. There's not much of a, it doesn't, I mean, it kind of, it's like goes up and then down and then kind of up, which is weird, but okay. The pocket clip's okay. It doesn't have the grabbiest bill. It just should have been a little bit shorter. I don't want to complain about it too much here. We have stops, blade stops that are attached to the blade and right on channels on either side of the frame. And so you get an additional point of contact over a standard stop pin, which I think is fine. Helps with lockout solidity without sacrificing smoothness, right? The detent is tuned properly. Whether you want to front flip it, top flip it, use the thumb stud with the thumb, or you want to do a left-handed reverse flick because you're feeling fancy, whatever you want to do, right? It's fine. Action is good, very consistent inside the pivot. Lockout, completely and totally solid. We have lockup geometry or lockup percentage of fairly early, 25%, but let's look at the actual contact. Yeah, where it's contacting, you can see there, plenty of surface contact, so no issue there. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No pivot lash. Very consistent action in here. And a nice, reasonable click into the closed position. This isn't. The tip is a little bit wonky. I think it's centered. Slight detent lash. $40 knife. Not the most impressive $40 knife I've ever seen, but it's a $40 knife, 14C28N, and has Miguron's pretty darn good fit and finish. I mean, they have, like, the best knife that they make in this price range is the Valona. Hands down. This is weird. It's kind of quirky. It's too thick. It should have had nested liners, and I mean, the G10 scales could have been thinner in general. The blade stock could have been thinner. Factory edge could have definitely been better, right? But it's okay. It's okay at 40 bucks. Not a knife that I'm going to say everybody should. It's not like, oh my gosh, the most amazing budget knife I've ever handled. No. But it's hard to sit here and be like, why isn't this perfect for $40, right? The price of everything is going up. And yes, there are very impressive knives that you can get at $40 or less, right? But a lot of them have the same weirdness that this does, right? A lot of them, I think, have better ergonomics. I mean, this is just, it's a little bit too thick for the size. It's just kind of awkward, right? A lot of them definitely have better factory edges, right? This is okay. As it sits, it's, you know, if you like how it looks, go grab it. Honestly, if you want to look at a lot of really good competition, check out my Cheap Knives I Like playlist. This is just, I don't dislike this. I'm just a little like, oh, why is there so many weird things about it? It's okay, right? If you buy this for $40, you didn't necessarily make a bad choice. There's just a lot of competition out there. And there were just one too many things here where I'm like, you know, if I had to grade this, I'd give it a C-, right? I mean, you pass the class with a C-, but I'm not going to, you're not a student I'm going to remember. Right? So that's all I can say. Miguron has done way better, and I've never handled a knife from them that I'm like, wow, I hate this, right? But this is just kind of like blah. It's just weird. But okay, you know, if you wanna pick it up, knock yourself out. It's 40 bucks, and it is dependable. I'll say that. Lockup and everything like that. It's plenty dependable, and it's made out of good materials. So, anyways, that's gonna be pretty much it today. Thanks again to Miguron for sending us in for review. Like I said, it'll be linked down below with other Miguron products that you should definitely check out. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.